typhoon is coming. There's a bit of drizzle during my ride up to Wuling. In the mountain area, high altitude, so cold, drizzle. I'm on my jacket, my raincoat, but I still feel so cold.
Hello everyone, I'm Juvina. Welcome to the Wandering Wasp channel. In the fourth video of the Taiwan series, I've invited a very like-minded traveler from Malaysia. She has done a couple of motorcycle trips in different countries, including Taiwan. Let's hear it from Cecilia. Thank you, Cecilia, for accepting this interview. So can you introduce yourself and also about your experience riding in Taiwan?
Hey Juvina, thank you for inviting me for the interview. I'm Cecilia, I'm from Malaysia. Professionally, I'm a chartered accountant of CPA Australia and MIA Malaysia. Passion-wise, I like to ride motorcycle. I enjoy riding around, exploring the world on two wheels. So I have a Harley-Davidson Sportster 48 and a Honda RS 150R. And I've rode both of my bikes from Kuala Lumpur to Thailand a few times. So among those trips, I think the furthest will be the one that is from Kuala Lumpur to northern Thailand, the Thousand Corners of Mae Hong Son. I've also done few trips of fly and ride destination. So these countries including Morocco, Vietnam, Laos, Philippines, Indonesia, and Taiwan.
So today we're going to talk about Taiwan. Can you share your experience in general?
Okay, so my Taiwan trip was back in 2019. It was a total 11 days trip and I was riding for 9 days. So I started off from north, from Taoyuan. That's where I landed, and I rented a bike at Taoyuan Zhongli. Then I rode to south via the central mountain range. And then from south, when I reached Kenting, I took the East Coast Way through Taitung and Hualien, then back to north through Taipei and to Taoyuan. For locals, that's how they describe this kind of route is they call it cutting the watermelon into half. That's po xigua. It's a route of po xigua. Yeah, so that's how I did it. Throughout my ride, there are a few highlights actually. One of it is I actually DIY a cardboard. So I drew a Taiwan map on an A4 paper, and then I said, okay, I'm from Malaysia, I'm riding solo, and please, give me encouragement. If you see this signboard, you see me on the road, say 加油. And then hopefully they will forgive me if they see me being clumsy and not familiar with the traffic regulations all. So, and I've also tied it up with my flag, Malaysia flag, at the top box of my scooter. And then I just rode that whole 9 days. So this particular signboard that I've made has really attracted lots of attention. So even on the first day when I rode out from the hotel at the first traffic light junction, there's a group of high school students. They were in uniform. So when they crossed the road, they saw my sign. From the back, they were like, shout out, hey, 加油, welcome to Taiwan. So at that point of time, because it's just the start of my journey, I was actually quite excited and also quite nervous because it's just first day, first ride. So with their encouragement, I feel so warm, and it actually boosts up my confidence. So ever since that, every time at junction, traffic light, when I stop my bike, there will be cars beside me, behind me, the bikers around me, they will horn and they will, just ride out and tell me, hey, enjoy Taiwan, 加油. And when I reached tourist spots and strangers, they saw my sign, they will walk up to me and talk to me, share with me some nice places around Taiwan. I even met uncle, is Uncle Pache, elder people from Taiwan. When he saw my sign at the post office, he told me, he asked me, he said, well, I understand that you are riding alone, so do you need financial support? He said, wow. I can actually sponsor your fuel if you want, or do you have money for food? I can buy you lunch. And I said, no worries, I'm okay. I'm very well taken care of. And then he said, you know what, Taiwan people, we are very friendly. So if you just need any help, you need any support, you just voice out, you just reach out to us. So this is something that is, all these are value adding because of that signboard. And when the locals, there was one particular experience when I was riding alone and I was just about to take an entrance to a highway. So that highway happens to be a newly constructed highway. And in the map, it shows that it looks like, okay, my scooter can go up to the highway. Then there's this truck behind me. He actually drove past me and stopped in front of me and stopped me by the roadside. And he walked down from the truck and told me that, hey, I understand that you're not local. You may not know, but this highway, you're not supposed to go up, because if you go up, you'll get a traffic fine. So I was actually very surprised, because of this particular signboard that showing that I'm not a local, and people are reaching out to me. People go extra mile to take care of me. Yeah, so this is a very good experience that I have, and I strongly encourage, if being a foreigners, we ride around Taiwan, we can actually do that. Do a DIY cardboard. It can be customized, and it can show our character. We can write many funny and cute things to introduce about ourselves. And in fact, I learned this idea from the local bikers. The locals, when they ride around Taiwan, they do that too. Yeah, so this is a very good tips lah. Also makes my trip very unique and unforgettable. So this is one of the highlight about the signboard. And then the second highlight is actually the typhoon. On my second day of riding, I experienced a typhoon. Before my trip, when I was doing my preparation, I do not have access to the weather information. Yeah, but I do know that during the month that I traveled, it was August, is actually typhoon season. But I was so lucky that during my trip, I actually have a typhoon. So I was actually informed by the bike rental agency. They messaged me, they told me before my trip, they say, hey, typhoon is coming, so you better prepare for it. If you need to do any adjustment, you pre-plan it, be mentally prepared for it. I was already very nervous with the typhoon. I a little bit panicked, but I feel, hey, this is all about motorcycle adventure. These are the things, unforeseen things that makes the whole experience so unique, right? So I go ahead with it, and then I monitor the typhoon news like very closely. So with that in mind, I have to always keep myself updated and to be prepared to change my plan anytime. So what I did was initially my day 1, day 2 is supposed to be riding, which means I actually have to do my 2 days riding all squeezed into the first day. And then the first day itself, I have to make sure I reach that destination which is Qingjing. And there is where I will have to take a break, stop riding for 1 whole day, because on day 2, the typhoon hits. And I can, or I may, resume my ride on day 3. And at that point of time, I'm still not very sure whether the typhoon will pass on day 3. So all this will have to depend on the weather update from Taiwan. So this is a very exciting part about this journey when typhoon hits, and then I have to allow my plan to be so flexible and to change at any point of time. So this is the second highlight. And I think the third highlight is also a very memorable part of the journey, is the engagement with the local bikers. I get to know a few of local bikers from a Facebook group. That is where I actually get all my information on planning the trip. So when they know that I'm riding at Taiwan, so they say, hey, if you happen to ride through my city, I would love to join your ride. And, if you're okay, I would like to bring you around, show you the places, so you can be relaxed a bit. Everything just hand over to me. So I said, hey, I really welcome the idea because even though it's a solo trip, I think the engagement with the community, with the people engagement part is also very important during my adventures. It's always the memorable part of it. So I really love the idea, and then I met a few of them. So throughout the journey, I actually have 3 different groups of bikers that has brought me around. They have showed me the places, and then after 1 or 2 days of solo riding, I felt that wow, with the local bikers around, with them guiding, being road captain, I have so less worry. Initially when doing solo, I realized that it's like a multitasking thing. I have to look at the GPS, have to plan the route, have to think where to eat, and then stop for a break, fuel, everything is, and even have to also take photo for myself. But with them around, okay, they can tell you, oh, in front there looks like the weather is turning back, better put on your raincoat, things like that. So it's more relaxed, and then I finally have people to share my journey. So that is a third highlight of the riding trip in Taiwan.
Yeah, I think engaging with people is also a very big part of traveling for myself.
Yes.
And the idea about the cardboard is this signifier that, oh, you are new here and so please guide me along. I think it's a very great idea for icebreaker to actually connect with people.
Having said that, right, about the cardboard, it did attract a lot of attention. But when we say attention, it can be good and bad, right? But fortunately, throughout the whole riding journey in Taiwan, it was always pleasant. Yeah. So it is a positive, and it is something that really add value to the trip.
And I think as bikers, we tend to look out for one another, don't you think so?
Yes, totally agree with that.
Yeah, I think not just in Taiwan, but actually throughout the rest of the world, I feel like people are always looking out for me and willing to offer their help because they understand the vulnerability of traveling by yourself, right? Because when you're on a motorcycle or on a two-wheeler, you're very exposed, you're very vulnerable. So bikers, they tend to understand each other, and they will tend to look out for one another no matter where you're from.
Yeah.
So I guess there's this like common language called motorcycling. Yeah. Let's say if a tourist doesn't speak Mandarin, do you think that he or she will have difficulty getting around Taiwan?
I do not think so. Even though the locals, they speak Mandarin, but I feel that it's the language is actually not the barrier, because we can still communicate in a lot of ways, like sign language, or we have Google Translator and things like that. And I think is the heart of the locals, that they're willing to do all their best, and they're willing to go extra mile just to support you, to make your journey pleasant. I think that heart is important. Yeah. So if with this heart, I think language will not be the barrier.
Yeah, so right. I think sometimes all this good intention, it transcends all this language barrier, right?
Yes.
Next question would be what is the procedure to go about renting a motorcycle?
Okay, for me, during my preparation, I'm actually looking at the bike rental shop in Taipei. The reason being because they offer quite a big range of different models. So they not only have scooters, they also have bike with clutch, gears, and they even have Harley for rent. But of course, the cost is higher, depends on the model that you are renting. In the end, actually, I did not go for those that is in Taipei City. I think there's a few reasons behind that. The first one is a few of them actually for foreigners to rent bikes, they actually ask for a guarantor. So you need to have a Taiwan guarantor. It can be your friend, your family members, or anyone. If you don't have a guarantor, then you will have to place a huge sum of deposit before you take the bike. So this is one of the consideration. And the second one to me is my main concern is if I'm taking the bike from Taipei city, it's a huge city, it's a capital. The traffic must be crazy lah. So for me being not familiar with the local traffic and then having to ride in such a crazy traffic, I think that will be a bit much stress for me for day one, because being riding for different countries, right? I usually will avoid the big cities because their traffic is always the one that is the crazy one compared to the countryside or outskirts. So that is my second consideration. So and then the third one is because of the cost. The same model, the same cc of scooters in Taipei versus in Taoyuan. The Taoyuan one is more affordable, I would say. Yeah, and it actually comes with like free of charge handphone mounting. It gives you the top box as well. Because of all this lah, so in the end I chose the one in Taoyuan, Zhongli. So it's I think it's a Yamaha dealer. So my bike that I rented is a Yamaha scooter. I think it's 125cc. So throughout the 9 days, it cost me for a day less than 450 Taiwan dollar. Yeah. So what they required to rent a bike for foreigners is, of course, your passport. So they got my passport, my international driving license. And on top of the rental, they also hold 3,000 Taiwan dollar as the traffic fine deposit. So how this works is, when my ride around Taiwan, if I happen to get any traffic fine, so the fine will be sent to their shop on an average of 3 months time lah. So they will use that deposit to pay for the fine. So I'm a very compliant person, so I did not get any fine. So in the end of the 3 months, I get my deposit back lah. Yeah. So usually they do a wire transfer lah. Yeah.
Okay. Other than a 125cc motorcycle, are you able to rent like a 250cc? Like, what are the different categories of bike that you can rent?
Oh, okay. Like for example, it all depends on what they have for the bike shop that you're looking at. So if let's say you would like to go for the bikes that with clutch, you like to play with the gears, you like to have a bigger cc bike, 500 cc's, or you like to ride a Harley, then the choices are limited for the bike shops that provide these type of bikes, but there are. So the one that I found is in Taipei. That's why initially I was actually thinking to rent a clutch bike lah. But in the end, looking at the cost, I think for a 9 days journey and also being a solo, a woman rider, I think I want to get something that I can manage independently. So at any terrain, any route, if I drop my bike, I can still pick it up myself. I do not want to create so much stress for myself. So that's why in the end, I go for the scooter. So when you talk about renting scooter, actually, I would say all the motorcycle rental shops in Taiwan will have scooters. Yeah. But scooters also have different CCs lah. So if you talk about 250cc, the higher CCs one are rare, but you still can find it. The common one are the one that is less than 150cc. Yeah, so that will be the models that basically all the bike rental shops will be able to provide.
For the 125cc, like for example in Singapore context, this is considered like really, really small. So many bikers, they think that, wow, 125cc going on a long distance is going to be very difficult. But so far, in your experience, do you think 125cc scooter is sufficient for you?
Oh, it is sufficient, yes. Okay, like I mentioned earlier, my consideration is because I'm traveling solo. Yeah. So if I'm traveling with a group, I may consider with a higher cc or even a clutch bike. May not be a scooter, a bike with a clutch. So because I'm traveling solo, so I'm looking at scooter. The second one is because this is I don't have a rush in time. I don't have a time constraint that I have to finish this whole round island trip by 5 days or by 2 days. So that's why I don't need a very powerful bike for speed to cover the distance. But instead, I want to really enjoy my time, be flexible. Whenever I see a place, I like it, I want to stop for a few hours, I just stop. The scooter, the small CC bike is totally sufficient for me. But just we need to have one consideration that there are a different set of traffic regulation for bikes below 250cc. These include the road that you can take, the lane, the road that you can ride up to, like some of the tollway or highway. This 250cc bike cannot ride up less than that lah. Okay, and in the normal route, there are a dedicated lane for bikes that is lesser than 250cc. You cannot ride out of the lane. Yeah, these are the major concerns lah. So it's really up to individual what style do you like. For me, for my first time riding in Taiwan, for riding solo, the scooter is all I need. Yeah, but for a second time, if I have chance to revisit Taiwan again, I would love to explore Taiwan with a clutch bike and a bigger CC one, and maybe also do some motorcycle camping in Taiwan. Yeah.
Yeah, great. Thanks for the tips and the consideration when it comes to renting scooters. Okay, my next question will be, how about the accommodation? How do you plan for your accommodation when traveling around Taiwan?
Okay, I usually make my reservation through Booking or Agoda because there are so much of varieties and also a lot of reviews that we can refer. For me, I usually shortlist about 3 accommodation for a place, but I will not pre-book it in advance. So usually how I do it is, okay, if tomorrow this is where I'm going to stay, according to my plan. So tonight when I reach this place, then I will review my schedule for tomorrow. So if I'm confident that next day the ride is easy, it's not so long distance, I can reach the destination according to my plan, then tonight I will book my accommodation for next day. But if I feel that tomorrow's plan, there are so many places to cover and all these places are so interesting and I want to spend so much time on each of the places, then I might have challenge to reach the destination that I planned. So what I will do is I will write on the next day, and I will only decide when I take a break. For example, like a lunch break. Okay, by lunch, then I will decide, okay, where, how much time left to the destination? Is it still too far? How's the weather like? How's the route like? Then I will decide. Yeah, so that's how I usually plan my accommodation because, as a motorcycle traveler, we all know that there are a lot of unforeseen circumstances that will happen throughout the journey. It might not be something bad. It might not be we are too excited to enjoy the moment, and then we just have to adjust our plan accordingly. Yeah. So this is how I plan my accommodation. And also talking to the local, if we manage to engage with a local biking group, they do have some good recommendations that are homestays or accommodation that are managed by bikers or owned by bikers, or that particular place, it's a biker must stay place. Maybe the compound or the facilities that they provide are so suitable for bikers. Yeah, so these are the things that these are the tips or sharings that we can get from the local biking group.
That's great. Because one of the consideration when it comes to accommodation, right, is the parking.
Yes.
So
yes.
Okay, so do you really take that into consideration when it comes to deciding where to book? Is like motorcycle theft an issue in Taiwan?
I have not experienced it and I have not read about it in Taiwan. I think motorcycle is a very common mode of transport in Taiwan. Basically, I would say that majority of them all can ride a scooter. So there's so many bikes on the street, and there's plenty of bike parking at the street lah. So when I choose my accommodation, definitely the bike parking is main concern, the main consideration, and I always prefer that may not be a shaded. I don't need a shaded parking, but I need the parking to be right in front of the entrance lah. Yeah, or within the compound. Yeah, so that's why if we use Agoda or Booking, we can actually communicate with the hotel management or the accommodation management to find out all this information. And even through the photos that they posted in Agoda or Booking.com, we can actually roughly know that how it looks like for a motorcycle parking.
Yeah. And the part about biker-centric homestay or accommodation, sometimes when you stay there, it's a very good way to connect with other bikers.
Exactly.
Yeah,
yes,
and then,
exactly.
Yeah, you end up having a travel companion.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I'm heading in the same direction. Why not we ride together? Do you get that?
Yes. I did not get to experience to stay in a biker, accommodation, but throughout my ride, because I have a local biker company, so they actually shared with me some of these places lah. But because of my the route that I'm taking is away from that place, so I didn't manage to get to experience that. But I would love to.
Okay, so the next question, what are some of the places that you recommend going? Like, oh, you must go to this place.
Okay, so since we are on a motorcycle trip, right? For bikers, destination is important. I mean, the scenery is important, but the route that we are riding is also equally important, right? The corners, the scenic route and things like that. So for scenic route, there are few that I highly recommend. The first one is Route 26 of Xuhai. It's a route from Kenting, from south towards the east, from Kenting to Taiwan. So that is a coastal route. I'm riding anti-clockwise of Taiwan Island. So the sea is always on my right-hand side. And in Taiwan, we ride on the right? So when I'm riding Xuhai, the sea is so close to me, and that time the divider is so low. The scenery is really breathtaking when riding that route. Is so beautiful, and there's no traffic at all. And with a motorcycle and with a scooter, because it's a small bike, so I can just stop by the road. If we are riding a big bike, then we may still have to find a proper place to stop the bike and to chill, to enjoy that moment, to take some photos, right? So Xuhai 26 is definitely one that I would recommend. And then another senior route is the one that I took when I ride out from north, from Zhongli towards Wuling. Wuling, the route Tai Qijia and Tai Jia is the route 7 and 14 of the Central Mountain Range. So Wuling is the route to Wuling is actually the highest route in Taiwan. So it's quite cold and sometimes it rains. So, and with my scooter, it's only 250cc. With my weight and with my bag, I actually have a bit of challenge to ride up the slope. I feel that is the only time that I feel like not enough power.
You have to push.
No, luckily I don't, because that time I rode up to Wuling is actually on my day one, and remember I said earlier, typhoon is coming. So actually there's a bit of drizzle during my ride up to Wuling. In the mountain area, high altitude, so cold and drizzle. I'm on my jacket, my raincoat, but I still feel so cold. And even though I'm not riding on a speed, but I'm still shivering, like shaking, so cold. I managed to get to that check-in point, the famous check-in point of Wuling. It's the highest motorway in Taiwan. So the route is beautiful. It's it's mountain after mountain, and being the highest route in Taiwan is definitely something that I want to ride. So this is also one of the recommendation. And then the third one is Taroko Gorge. Taroko Gorge is I've actually been to Taroko Gorge a few times. I've traveled Taiwan a few times, but never on a motorcycle. And I do not have a very deep impression about Taroko Gorge before my motorcycle trip. But I feel that, it's just a gorge, there's a river, there's a stream in between the gorge, and it's a very famous tourist spot. But after I experienced it with my bike, oh my God, it is so, it's marvelous. That place is so beautiful. And then the route, the corners, the mountain, wow, I really, it's beautiful. It is a must ride route, I would say. The cave, the rocks are just above my head. I'm like riding into a tunnel, a half tunnel, and then the river is on my left. Oh, it's so wonderful, the experience, and I love that particular journey so much. So this one also I highly recommend to ride if we can detour a bit. For me, the Taroko Gorge is actually not along my route. I actually have to make a detour in order to go into that gorge. Yeah. So, but I think it's totally worth it, and I highly recommend that route. So I allocated one full day for just to ride the Taroko Gorge.
Yeah, I heard a lot about Taroko Gorge. So previously, how were you traveling Taroko Gorge?
By bus, and by local, the local travel groups. Few times, one time is a company trip, so of course we go there with bus. And then one time is my personal family trip, so we engage a local driver, like a taxi driver, that he will bring us around the places that we wanted to visit. Yeah.
What makes the experience so different when you are on a scooter?
I think by traveling by motorcycle itself, it's very, very different from traveling in a car or in a bus, because like you say, we are all exposed. All our senses are triggered. Our visual, we listen, and then we can smell the air. Then our skin, we can feel the cool air, the wind. By riding, you get to ride around the corners, and then you see the rocks above you. You can hear the river stream. You can hear people horning, all these things. And the scenery is just breathtaking. So all these actually give a lasting impression about the riding trip. Yeah. So this is what I have not experienced in the past in a car or in a bus. Yeah. So, the conventional way of traveling is when we reach the place, we just get down and then we take photo, then we go back out to the car or the bus. So we then don't get to experience the road itself. Yeah.
I totally agree. Because it's really an indulgence of all your senses when you're riding on a scooter. Okay, the next question. So far you had mentioned really good experience in Taiwan. But what are some of the biggest challenge you have encountered while riding there?
Okay, I would say it's the traffic regulations. I think it's being a foreigner, I'm not very familiar with the local traffic requirements. So like the driving direction is already very different from Malaysia. Yeah, because their fast lane is at the left-hand side. In Malaysia, fast lane is at the right. Riding on a scooter, because it's a small cc bike, is less than 250. So like I mentioned before, that I have to stick to that particular bike lane. Yeah, so or else if I ride outside that, then I will be fined or I will be horned. And I think the most challenging part, there are two. One is during the planning of the route, because the bike that is less than 250cc is not allowed to ride through all the roads in Taiwan. There are only certain roads that is only open for a smaller cc bike. So when planning time, I have to be very careful. I have to make sure that the route that I plotted in my Google Map, it's open for small CC bikes. And I don't get myself right up to those highway or tollway. But there are road signs that at the entrance of the route that will actually remind us that, okay, this one, small bikes are not allowed. So the different road signs, like for example, the number of the road sign and the shape of or the icon of the road sign may also tell us that whether we can actually ride up to this particular route. Yeah. So this is one of the things that we have to really think ahead, or when we are planning our route, if we are getting a small CC bike. So if we are riding a big CC bike, so this one is less concerned now. We can basically ride like a car, right? And then the second biggest challenge is actually the left turn at traffic light, especially in the big towns and cities. Because they have this regulation where, in Malaysia, at traffic light, when we want to turn left, we just turn left, turn right, just turn right, right? We don't have to perform different steps. But in Taiwan, for a left turn, okay, we have to turn right into the lane on our right-hand side. Then we make a U-turn and wait at that particular box that is indicated for a left turn at the traffic light. We wait there, and then until the light of this traffic turn green, then we go straight. So in the end, we are actually breaking the left turn into 2 steps. So the local call it 左转带转, right? So I think it's very challenging to try to visualize how this works, but I would recommend to watch some YouTube videos to understand, how this is performed of a left turn. Yeah, so, but this is not required at everywhere in Taiwan. This only applies, I think, in the bigger cities and the bigger towns. So whenever if you see a sign that need to perform this left turn in 2 steps, then we have to follow. If we don't see that, we can just left turn.
Okay, just now you mentioned that the different roads are assigned different logos or different shapes, right? What
Yes.
are the shapes that we should avoid if you're riding a scooter?
Okay, if I remember correctly, definitely the flower shape that we need to avoid. The majority route that I took is a triangle shape. It's a shape of shield. Yeah.
For the last part, do you have any additional tips and advice to share?
For planning, for gathering information, I think a good way or a good place is from the Facebook group. That's how I started. I actually joined a few Taiwan motorcycle riding Facebook group. So there are many posts about them sharing different places or different routes that they can ride around Taiwan. So that's where I gathered the information, and that's where I met the local bikers. And I think not only for planning of our route, we also have to take into consideration of the weather. Like myself, the time that I chose is so happened to be a typhoon season. Then later I found out that there's also some Facebook page or community is about live update of the weather of that particular period. Yeah, so like there's a page that always update about typhoon. There's a page that always update about rain season. Yeah, so this is somewhere where we can roughly get some idea when we are planning. And on top of that, it is also important that we keep ourselves updated about the road condition of the route that we are riding, because I do, I did experience that. For example, when I rode up to Taroko Gorge, halfway, they actually have a road closure and they are doing some maintenance of the road. And I think this is quite common in Taiwan because especially the route that pass through the mountain areas, because sometimes bad weather, they will have landslide, or sometimes they will have major accidents that they have to close the road for a few hours for maintenance of clearance. So there are some Facebook page or community posts that they will update about road closure and how much time it will take. So if we have this information ahead, it actually helps us to plan ahead so that we know that maybe we want to avoid this route, or if we want to ride this route, maybe we want to stop somewhere else, take a break while waiting for the road to be opened again. Yeah, so these are the few things. And recently, because I started to get into motorcycle camping, so I actually learned a lot from YouTube. I actually followed some YouTubers from Taiwan. They always post about and share about their motorcycle camping around different campsites in Taiwan. So I felt that YouTube channel is also a very good place where we can start to get all the information. And the good part about YouTube channel is you get to see visuals. You can, there are videos. So you really can have a better picture of the place that we want to go. Yeah, so YouTube is a good place. I would recommend to gather information. Yeah, and the other tips, and of course, is the signboard. I think everyone should try out. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Cecilia, for your time and sharing
Thank
your
you, Jovina.
experiences. I hope this conversation will give you more insights about riding in Taiwan. So I hope when the border opens, we can start planning for our trip. Yes.
Looking forward to.
So, are you going to plan to go to ride Taiwan again?
I really want to. That point when I returned to Malaysia, I was telling myself, man, I really have to go there again. I want to bring my friends to experience on two wheels. Taiwan is the people. I feel the unforgettable experience are the people. They're so very great hospitality. It's so welcoming and really kind and friendly people. Really kind. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Cecilia. Okay, so
thank you, Jovina.
Yeah.
Great to talk to you.
Yeah, great to talk to you. Thank you, Cecilia, for the very insightful sharing. She has published videos of a Taiwan scooter adventure on YouTube. You can subscribe or follow her at Cecilia Sophie. Thank you, Taiwan Tourism Bureau of Singapore, for supporting this series of videos. I hope to be able to visit Taiwan when the time is right. If you enjoy my travel content, remember to follow and subscribe to The Wandering Wasp. At the moment, we plan now and travel later.